same way that like Jeff Goldblum is a quirky, zany guy. Like Nicolas Cage just has completely submitted to that persona, even in public, because I guess he was like caught doing karaoke night after night, singing angry renditions of Purple Rain after his divorce fell through, or not his divorce, his new wedding was annulled.
Oh, brother. No, that's why I liked Mandy, because I didn't feel like it exploited his Cageisms, but I felt like Mom and Dad did exploit the Nick Cage freakout.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, so another part in this movie that people like a lot. I mean, there are some moments that are very memorable in this film, but I think the most inspired is the VR camping bit where he smushes the two campers in the sleeping bags. I mean, that's a A+ moment in a B movie.
Yeah, and I definitely recall like the famous part New Blood, whatever that one was, seven.
Yeah.
Bit when Jason does the sleeping bag kill against the tree. And I get it, like it's classic and iconic. I don't know why it's as loved as it is. It's not like my favorite personally, but I do like that they gave that fan service in, because you no doubt had people going into the theater and going like, oh, I like Friday the 13th, I like Jason, but this space thing isn't really my bag. And then you get something like that, which is like, okay, we got you, fam.
Is this the first time where people made these jokey jokes about how they're screwed?
Absolutely not, because you had Scream and you had like...
No, I'm sorry. In the Friday the 13th world.
No, not necessarily. And I guess it depends on how you're framing this question. If it's the self-awareness thing, that started pretty firmly in part 6, right? Which was Jason Lives. And even when you have those, like, I don't know if you just saw it recently or have it fresh in your memory, but there's a moment toward the end where there are actual kids at the camp, which isn't something that a lot of the movies have. But there's a bit where the kids are told to hide under their bunks, and it's supposed to be a moment of humor, but two of the kids kind of look at each other and go, after hearing a scream from outside, they go, "Boy, are we screwed," or something like that, to that effect. So no, those jokes have sort of been around, and I just think if you're using that as a punchline to a kill that was orchestrated around that punchline, like having somebody's body spiral down a giant oversized needle because I don't know why that's there. Yeah, it's a little tired to me.
Got it. What did you think about KM blowing off every limb of Jason and his head? Did you like that scene?
So I like KM in general. Those kinds of high concept additions to a script can really blow up in your face with the wrong performance or the wrong script. But I do feel like that added a lot of fun. Had you taken her out of the script without that element, I think it would have just been a joyless, humorless romp in space. And with her, the actress whose name escapes me right now, she's just, she's fun. She's inquisitive. She's very, she's playing up that like, I want to be like a human being angle without being over serious. So yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. She goes full like Matrix dominatrix type. And she even lets Jason like get a hit in just to make a joke and catch him off guard. So to your point, when she blows him to smithereens, like that's a sick scene. And not just with her choreography, which is pretty cool too, just seeing somebody really work and go to town on him, but just the artillery, the ammo and the guns used, and just seeing Jason lose limbs one by one. And of course he's brought back to life with the nanomachines or what have you, and made to look like a Power Ranger, which not a fan of, but yeah, that is a fun and satisfying scene.
They made him look, I like when they made him sort of look silly when he got his leg shot off and then he just slowly fell over.
And that scene is really aided by Harry Manfredini's score, because it stops and then it picks up again. Nope. Shot again. And he has some fun with that, so I like that part.
Yeah, I think you're right about Lisa Ryder. She played KM. She did have fun with it. So there was a good performance.
Right. It wasn't like Haley Joel Osment in AI, right? It's not like navel gazing pondersome crisis she's going through, but she has a master, she serves him, and she's a bit where she wants to have nipples, and it's like, it's kind of a funny part, but it also reflects her character, right? Like, she wants to be more realistic, and she takes issue when people call her out as a robot.
That was a good bit too, I guess, with the nipples, right? That felt human.
Yeah. It didn't feel like a sleazy Friday the 13th nudity thing, which if her boobs were like circus sized, then yeah, it would have been very firmly within the Friday the 13th wheelhouse, but it didn't. It felt a little bit more character building, right?
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, if you're an exec, right, and someone says, listen, Jason gets frozen 400 years. This group of nubile students and Marines find him with a frozen woman. He wakes up and she tries to stop him while he's killing them in space. That's a good pitch if you're gonna go to space, right? The pitch, the idea of this movie isn't bad.
Well, it's not bad. Excuse me. It just sort of follows through on the promise of the punchline, right? For years, these movies keep going, right? And it's like, okay, well, we're going to put Leprechaun in the hood. We're going to put Michael Myers on reality TV. We're going to put Jason in space. So in a lot of ways, it was sort of an inevitability.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that necessarily makes it a bad plot. It just makes it sort of uninspired, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. But for some reason, I don't know, I like this movie. Do you?
Well, it's grown on me, and I know I mentioned that before, but I think at the time, whatever, 2001 or 2, that kind of movie may not have been for the time. In a 2019 environment where everything is very lovingly nostalgic and can take its jokes in stride, maybe it would have fared better with a more self-aware tone. But back then, this was very firmly, like I said, a bodies at the floor, drowning pool, gearing to teenagers who want to see Jason do some shit in space type affair.
No, yeah, I'm with you. So you said you didn't like his mask. Tell me about that.
No. Oh, what's there to like, really? I mean,
Kane Hodder liked it.
Well, I'm happy for Kane, but I think that's a thing that works maybe really cool as concept art. But boy, when they get it on him, and look, I love Kane. I think he is the definitive Jason. But when you put stuff on like that on his body, he's just so stocky that like it does make him look like an oversized Power Ranger. It looks cheap and plastic. So I'm not even going to get into the logistics or logic of why the nanomachines decided we're not going to heal this guy. We're going to make him better. Despite that machine really eating it too, that machine was left in a pretty rotten state. So apparently the nanomachines were instructed to erect him a new, far superior facial mask. And yeah, I mean, the body's okay. It's just a little too chrome for my taste. Like, it's this idea that a 13-year-old boy would be like, ooh, I want to make Jason real cool. He's got to be super strong, and he's got to look edgy and futuristic. And that's the vision they put on screen, and I just did not care for it. Also, there's like room for his nose to breathe, which I guess maybe the original hockey masks kind of still had with the holes, but it just looked like a weird setup. And I will say the one thing I did like were his just over-the-top contact lenses, because he's got these bloodshot maniacal eyes, and those are scary. But you look at the rest of them,
he did say he scared a bunch of children on set in that outfit with those eyes, and he said he would just stare at people and they were very uncomfortable around him.
I mean, yeah, they look like a real pain in the ass to wear too.
I guess I think you're right, because I didn't write this script, but I love the idea of an analog.
You didn't?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had a run through when I drank some Red Bulls.
You had a pass?
Yeah, I had a pass. And, he called me up, asked me what I was thinking. I kind of said, oh, listen, man, he's the Scream movie. I said, the Scream movie's changing everything, bro. You got to be more self-aware. I didn't have a cell phone, so he called my house phone at the time.
Smart call.
Yeah. And, he took it to heart, which I really appreciate. I guess I would have kept it more analog in a super technological world. That's where you have the fun, right? When he's Jason and all these people have laser guns and all this, and he's just hacking his way and freezing people. And of course he's adopting it, but he finds himself in the simulation where he kills a fake alien with a machete. So I like that the most. I guess when he became Uber, yeah, I guess it slowed things down a little bit because he couldn't move. He said he couldn't move in the costume.
Yeah, I don't know what was required because it's actually a simpler looking costume in my opinion, but I don't know the logistics of what kind of armor, gear, costuming that went into it.
He said it was one piece.
Oh, ew. That's very unpractical.
Yeah. And I mean, it's better than, like, he just had a little jacket in the other ones.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts about Jason X? Or 10?
Yeah. So I think there were a few things that I really liked and a few things that, especially in this movie, could have been way better. And I sort of alluded to it earlier about the screwed joke, but look, I mean, you've got Jason in space already, and you've got this like alien crack team of Marines or squad or whatever the hell they're called hunting him down. And it's like somehow, at least in my opinion, somehow it's the most boring part of the movie. Like, shouldn't that be the coolest part? Where you got trained assassins like being knocked off one by one? I don't know. Every other part of the movie, it seems to be more entertaining than that. And by the time that part rolls around in the movie, I'm just like, all right, I'll go on a bathroom break or something. So it's a kind of a shame that we didn't get more out of that concept because on paper, it could have been really, really well devised.
I guess I like that they were going for the aliens vibe and you said that they should have it, but I guess if you didn't have the military, then you would have had more character development with the college students and it would have been a little bit more tense. I think that's a good point, man, because I never cared about any of those Marines being killed. I just paid attention more to the set design.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, look, you're not going to get time with every character, and I don't even care for the fact that they didn't have any character development. But to the point about set design, that's, I think, a missed opportunity because what are we talking about? We've spent minutes talking about that stupid screw, bit. It could have been way cooler, way more circumstances in space. That were uniquely futuristic, but it just really didn't go anywhere. And we talk a lot about Alien. It's like there's even a character. I don't remember what character it was, but somebody utters the name Dallas, and I'm like, oh, okay, guys, I get it. You love Alien, and even the guns. They're obvious fans of Doom because they mentioned like a BFGs already.
Yep.
So I like that somebody who's a fan of genre staples and, classics before it, lovingly inserted these references. But yeah, that part for me was a letdown.
The guy who wrote it was named Dallas. Todd Farmer's character's name was Dallas.
That's his name. Okay, that's what I thought. And yeah, you could tell like he wanted that name.
Come on, guy. No?
Yeah.
So it just said, let's see. Once again, just like Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday, New Line Cinema was able to legally include Friday the 13th. That's pretty interesting, no?
So wait, say that again. So they were legally allowed to do what?
They couldn't use Friday the 13th. They
couldn't?
Yeah.
Is that why they named it Jason X?
Yeah.
Was that because they've been in a number of lawsuits. I know they're still engaged. At least last I checked, they were still engaged in a tussle with Victor Miller about the rights to the Jason character.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what put a halt to the DLC or add-on game features for the Friday the 13th video game by Gun Media. They had slated a production to add on more features to the video game, but the ongoing legal dispute between Victor Miller and I want to say Paramount, but I might be wrong. It might be New Line. I don't remember who currently has that, but there's been some contention about, rights and privileges and royalties that may go with the use of Jason as a character.
Is that why they didn't want to call it a remake? They wanted to call it a sequel, so then he didn't get paid as much, and then he kept suing for that?
I don't know the particulars.
In 2009, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And I know some of these studios, they have bits in the contracts in terms of how long they can sit on the rights. And it's a matter of how many movies you make in a certain time. And if you don't make any movies after a certain amount of time, you lose it. But it's interesting because Larry Zerner, I might be wrong about the name, but the guy who played Shelley in part 3 of Friday, the guy who wears the hockey mask, guy gives him the hockey mask. He's actually a lawyer now, and he's pretty active on social media, and he's got some great